Welcome to Pages of the Multiverse, where every universe has a story. Here, we dive into the hidden corners of Marvel and DC Comics, exploring alternate realities, forgotten timelines, and the countless versions of your favorite heroes and villains. In this video we will dive into the origins of Ultimate Captain America and his first mission with the Ultimates. The Steve Rogers of this universe was first introduced in Ultimates issue number 1, set during the Second World War in 1945. Steve led a group of troops to parachute into a combat zone in Iceland. While soldiers were being taken down by enemy gunfire, they began to lose their confidence in the battle and questioned where on Earth the super soldier who was supposed to help win the war had gone. Without warning, an Allied plane was shot down and crashed into an enemy stronghold, and Captain America started to fight back. Once Captain America defeated the German soldiers, he rallied the troops to fight on. Rogers led the troops against the enemies, taking out soldier after soldier, until they entered a large room with a rocket ready to launch. To avoid defeat, the German soldiers launched the rocket, even killing their own troops. Without fear, Rogers ran toward the rocket missile. He leaped onto the missile as it launched, holding on tightly while ripping open the hull to damage it as much as possible. He pulled out a grenade and exploded the missile, but Rogers was blown away by the force of the explosion. Believing that Captain America was killed, his legacy would always be remembered by the men who fought beside him. Years later, S.H.I.E.L.D.'s director Nick Fury began assembling a team of superpowered people to fight against the threat of mutants and terrorists. He assigned Bruce Banner to try to recreate the super soldier serum, but unfortunately, he had no success. With the arrival of Tony Stark with his Iron Man armor, Hank Pym, also known as the Giant Man, and his wife, Janet Van Dyne the Wasp, Bruce became frustrated by his own lack of progress. Then he was given a miracle with the discovery of Steve Rogers. Rogers woke up in a hospital, greeted by Bruce Banner, Nick Fury, Tony Stark, and soldiers aiming their guns at him. They informed him that the war was won, but it was no longer 1945, he had been frozen in ice for 57 years. Not taking the news well, Steve Rogers, believing that everyone was a German soldier in disguise trying to trick him, began to fight everyone. While trying to escape, soldiers started shooting Rogers with tranquilizers, but he was able to block the darts. Rogers jumped out of a window and continued to make his escape. Out of nowhere, Hank Pym used his giant man powers to stop Rogers by pinning him with his massive hand. Days later, after Rogers calmed down and accepted that he was in another time, Nick Fury took him to visit his old war buddy Bucky Barnes. While reading Bucky's file, Steve discovered that Bucky had married Steve's fiancée, Gail Richards, and they had 4 children and 7 grandchildren. Fury also informed Steve that Bucky was dying of cancer. At first, Bucky didn't recognize Rogers, but once he did, he embraced his old friend. Surprised that Steve had not aged a day, Bucky told his grandsons to call their grandmother. However, Gail refused to see Rogers due to her being an old woman now. After leaving Bucky's house, Fury took Rogers to a cemetery where Rogers' parents were buried, as they had died years after he disappeared. Feeling out of place in this new world, Fury offered Steve a way to be useful again and serve his country. Steve Rogers was revealed to the world, returning to his position as Captain America. With Banner becoming the Hulk in New York, Rogers and the rest of the Ultimates suited up to face their first major threat. On their way to the combat zone, Captain America informed Iron Man that he had never lost a fight during the war and didn't plan to lose this one. Each member of the Ultimates was unable to take down the Hulk. Rogers joined the fight by dropping a tank onto the Hulk. The Hulk began tearing the tank apart, but Captain America fought back with punches and kicks, managing to bring the Hulk down. Rogers pulled a syringe from his pouch to inject the Hulk and try to revert him back to Banner. However, the Hulk woke up, broke Captain America's arm, and shattered the needle. The Hulk then attacked Rogers with full force. With the arrival of Thor, Rogers was able to get out of the way. But the Hulk took down Thor with ease. Captain America received a message from Fury stating that Betty Ross was in the air, escaping from the scene. The Hulk grabbed Rogers, forcing him to reveal what Fury had said. Rogers pointed to the helicopter and told him that Betty was on board. The Hulk threw Captain America to the side and chased after Betty. Thor questioned Captain America about using civilians as bait, but Cap assured him that Plan 3 was in place. With Wasp inside the Hulk's head, she used her wasp sting on the Hulk's brain, causing him to fall out of the helicopter and crash into New York Harbor. Back in his Banner form, Bruce pleaded with Cap not to hurt him, saying he was only trying to help the team. Rogers assured Bruce that he wouldn't hurt him as he was a member of the team. Cap then told Banner they needed to have him checked for cuts and bruises, to which Banner responded that he didn't have any. Rogers kicked him in the face, knocking him out. Thus ended the Ultimates' first battle as a team. The history of Ultimate Captain America will continue. Thanks for watching. If you love multiverse stories, then subscribe for new videos every week right here on Pages of the Multiverse.